Hey guys, Ivan here, and in today's video we have something really interesting. We're gonna try to figure out who's gonna win the Arnold Classic 2025 in 3 weeks from now, or at least who is going to place higher between these two Mr. Olympias. The reigning Mr. Olympia, Samson Dauda, and the former 2023 Mr. Olympia, Derek Lunsford. Now, we're starting this comparison with the back double bicep right here. Why? Well, simply because I feel like we are kind of forgetting how impressive Derek Lunsford actually was the year when he won. Look, it most certainly wasn't the most convincing win of all time, and Derek is not gonna go down in history as one of the most impressive Mr. Olympias of all time. But in his first Open Olympia, he placed second, and in the second one, he won. It was shocking, guys, and his back double bicep was simply out of this world. Not only the back itself, but his conditioning from behind as well. He was dry, he was shredded, he was full as well. It was a really good peak, and if he can repeat this at the Arnold Classic, and I don't see why he wouldn't. He only failed this last year. Even in 2022, he was spot on. He was just smaller back then. In the meantime, he got bigger, he improved, and once he nailed the condition, it was enough to win the whole title. Now, again, it wasn't super convincing. It could have went either way between him and Hadi, but Samson was not really in conversation that year because he still didn't figure out his conditioning. Once he figured it out, it was enough to win the Mr. Olympia, but did he really win the Mr. Olympia because he was that much improved, or was it because everybody else was really off? I think it was a combination of both, and Samson also believes, he said this basically, that Derek and Hadi are still a big challenge. If he doesn't really bring in 100%, and if they do, he can still lose to them. So he needs to be careful, he needs to be 100% on at the Arnold Classic, and we have no way of finding out who's gonna bring what, who's going to be on, who's going to be off. But if we assume that both Samson and Derek bring it, if they're both conditioned and full and everything, if they peak really well, let's say Derek is the way he was in 23 and Samson is the way he was in 24, which is probably the best case scenario. Maybe they can even slightly improve, not a lot at this point, I don't think so. If they are both on, what would happen? Well, let's see, let's start. The first pose is actually going to be the front double bicep. So, even though Derek was absolutely shredded from behind, from the front he really didn't have that crazy level of hardness as he does from behind. It was very good conditioning, much better than last year, but it wasn't exactly as hard as he is from the back. Samson Dauda last year, however, I think his conditioning is matching Derek's conditioning from 2023. And what he has going on for him right here is height, obviously, size, height. He's definitely a bigger bodybuilder, and he has better legs. A lot fuller and also very detailed, very conditioned legs, quads. So he beats Derek in that regard. As far as the upper body, I would say it is very close. None of these guys have super peaky biceps. I am sure that Samson is going to have much improved bicep peaks at this year's Arnold Classic. And as far as Derek, I think he's also going to be improved, but mainly posing wise in certain poses. But as far as like the biceps and body parts in the front upper body right here in this pose, I think Derek is not going to be that much improved. I think Samson's arms are going to be noticeably bigger, but even if they aren't, even if he's not improved, I still think he wins this pose. So that makes it 1-0 for Samson. The second pose will be the front lat spread, and even though Derek has enormous lats, crazy freaking massive lats, in this pose for some reason he doesn't look very good. He doesn't know how to open up in this pose properly. He's doing a much better job in the front double bicep, but in the front lat spread, he just doesn't get it right. So he doesn't really show us his crazy lat width and lat size, and like he doesn't know how to open up his chest to make his shoulders look wide. He's flexing his chest, he's kind of trying to show us his shoulders and arms, and it's just not looking very good. And then the same thing with the legs. Samson is better in the legs, he knows how to open up, he knows how to look wide, and he has a better X-frame, better V-taper. So as far as the front lat spread, it's an easy one for me. Samson wins this one for sure. So 2-0 for Samson right now. The next pose is another front pose. It's the abs and thighs pose. And you guys remember Derek used to hit the vacuum for the majority of the time. And his vacuum pose is extraordinary. It's really impressive. Even the legs look good in this one. The V-taper looks crazy. The waist looks super small. And it looks very aesthetic. But Tyler Mannion made a video after this Mr. Olympia that this is not going to be allowed. He needs to hit the pose properly. He needs to flex the abs. So he changed that last year. It didn't look very good. Now in the off season, or this prep actually, it seems like he improved his abs and thigh shot. But this is the way it looked back in 2023. It was definitely worse. In 24, he changed his foot position and he wasn't even flexing the abs properly. He wasn't opening up his lats. So this is the best variation of Derek's abs and thighs that we saw so far. I am convinced it's gonna be much improved because I saw those videos of him posing. It does look a lot better right now. I think he improved the abs or learned how to flex them, how to contract them, and his foot position is better. He's opening up his lats more. Here, his legs are looking actually very good, but because of the abs, I just can't give it to him. This one has to go to Samson. So it's 3-0 for Samson right now. Alright, now let's switch to the side poses. And the first one is the side chest. And this is where it kinda gets a little bit tricky. Upper body, I give it to Samson for sure. His chest is bigger, it's definitely way more massive. The arms are also bigger, the triceps, the biceps, the brachialis is popping out like crazy. Shoulders are pretty equal, I would say, but upper body, basically, it's Samson all day. Now, as far as the lower body, even though Samson is basically known for his crazy hamstrings from behind, and also big quads, for some reason he's just not really making his legs look as big as they could look. And that's definitely an issue. Derek's legs from the side are actually looking better, and I think it's mainly the posing thing. If Samson can change the style of hitting this pose with the legs, he can win this one easily. But even like this, guys, I just can't really make myself give this one to Derek, even though it's very close. This one is really close because Derek looks really good, especially because of the legs, because of how complete he is in this pose. I mean, Samson kind of looks like he has a dominant upper body. I mean, his legs are not small, but I would like to see a little bit bigger hamstring drop. However, overall, I'll just have to give this one to Samson as well. So that makes it 4-0 for Samson right now. The next pose is another side shot, and it's a side tricep, and this one is probably even more tricky than the previous one. Man, like, it's really hard to decide here. I mean, again, Samson, bigger chest, bigger arms, but not that much bigger in this pose. His mobility, I guess, or the size of his lats is not allowing him to really press that arm to his body, so his arms are not looking that much bigger than Derek's. As far as like the midsection, they are very close. They both have really tight midsections. And now as far as the lower body, I definitely prefer the way Derek is hitting this pose. In my previous federation, where I used to compete in IFBB, there is a rule. You have to hit it the way Samson is hitting it. But in the NPC or IFBB Pro League, you can hit it both ways. And I actually prefer the way Derek is hitting it for him. And I think Samson also looks better when he's doing it this way. However, he was trying something new this year. He was doing the Dorian Yates style of side tricep. And it's interesting to see. I like this way of hitting this pose if it works for you. But unfortunately for Samson, the other variation actually looked better. Maybe, however, this way he has easier time to actually hit the pose, to hold his hands behind his back. I think that's probably a part of the reason why he's doing it this way now. Who looks better in this one? Man, it's close. It's really close. But I just prefer the way Derek is hitting it. He looks more comfortable, so I'll give him this one. Let's say it's 4-1 for Samson. Let's give Derek a chance. If he wins the next 3 poses, it can be a tie. So now it starts to look a little bit more interesting, and now we're looking at their backs, and we're starting with the back lat spread, and Derek's lats are just out of this world. His back is just super wide, super thick. I mean, Samson's back also came up nicely. He has really good traps, and you know, his lats came up, but they're just simply a little bit too high inserted, and Derek has that lower lat density. So as far as the upper body, I definitely give it to Derek, and also Derek has the glute separation that Samson doesn't have. However, Samson has better hamstrings. by far, for sure. And I think Derek could probably look better in the hamstrings if he was not flexing his glutes this much. He's probably pushing his hips forward. By doing that, he's flexing the glutes, but he's losing some of those adductors and hamstring size. So overall, like, I can't give this one to Samson only because of the hamstrings, even though the difference is really big. And it doesn't look like Samson is off with conditioning in the glutes. He just doesn't have the deepest separation. He doesn't have those cuts that Derek has. But still, those lines in glutes are really impressive, and the lower lat thickness is really crazy. So I have to give the lat spread, the back lat spread, to Derek Lunsford. So that makes it 4-2 right now. And the next pose is the back double bicep. Do we really need to go over this one? Check out Samson's glutes right here. They're showing a little bit more separation, but pay attention to his hamstrings right here. They're not as big, as crazy looking as they are in the back lat spread, because here he's flexing his glutes a little bit more, pushing the hips in, and by doing that he's also losing the hamstrings or adductors mainly. So in this case, there is no big difference in the hamstrings. The glute separation is quite a bit different. And then the back, the conditioning, the dryness, the lower back conditioning, and just the size of the lats, and also the separation in the delts, even that, yeah, the arms too. I mean, Derek was really dry from behind this year, and Samson, even though he was definitely improved, you know, he was definitely in the best conditioning of his life, he doesn't come close to Derek's conditioning from the back. So, and this is back double bicep we're talking about, guys. I mean, this is Derek's back double bicep is one of the best in the history of bodybuilding. So, no, Samson does not beat him in this one. This makes it 4-3 for Samson. And the final pose is the most muscular. Who is winning this one? I think, like, it's really difficult to figure it out because the lighting is not the same. I think Derek was also in pretty good condition, comparable condition to Samson's, maybe even slightly better condition, but I don't know. Right here, I can definitely see more details in Samson's chest, more details everywhere overall in the quads. Look at the adductors just and just the lines in the quads, and you know the arms as well. And just the size, the height, that's not something we are really considering in this video, in this comparison. When we see these guys on stage, one next to another, we'll be able to see it a little bit more clearly. We'll see the size difference a little bit better. But even without the size difference, even without these guys actually standing one next to another, we can see here in this pose that Samson just has better details, more muscle, more of a freak factor. So I have to give this one to Samson. That makes it 5-3. And again, guys, anything is possible on that day. It depends on who brings what, how much these guys are actually improved. We'll see. I mean, the size difference, the height difference is also a big factor. But if they both bring their best, it's going to be a battle for sure. And sometimes guys win shows even when they don't win the majority of the poses. If one of their body parts is just super impressive, like Derek's back double bicep, I mean, that's what won him the Mr. Olympia in 2023. Maybe that's gonna win him the Arnold Classic as well. I mean, right now, Samson is definitely the heavy favorite, but anything can happen. It can go either way if you ask me. But whatever you guys think, tell me down below in the comment section. If you guys enjoyed this video, give it a thumbs up. For more content like this, guys, stay tuned, subscribe to this channel. And if you guys want to support me to keep making all this awesome content for you guys, you can just do that by buying some of the hostile supplements and using the code EVEN10 for a 10% discount. You can buy, for example, this isolate whey protein. It's on the website. The link is down below in the description of this video. Just click on it, use the code EVEN10. You'll get a 10% discount. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. See you soon. All the best and bye-bye.